Looks like we've got a local person here speaking under the monument, giving some context. He's talking about his experience growing up in Durant, Oklahoma.
This town has a long history of racial prejudice, of systemic racism, and of consistent behavior that is, frankly, unjust and racist. And I use that term not lightly. I don't use that term in a way that you might see it thrown around blatantly on Facebook or thrown around blatantly on Twitter or thrown around with no care. I really thought long and hard about whether I wanted to use the word racist in this speech, but I came to the conclusion that the behavior of our city officials and of the people in this town, especially in my mom and uncle's time, was racist, and I don't use that term lightly. People that she knew personally, that my mom knew personally, were full-fledged members, practicing members of the Ku Klux Klan, right? And those people still exist here in Durant today. My mom chose not to reveal their names. I don't know them, but she knows people that were in the KKK in the year 1980, okay? My mom knows them. I spent summers here. I was a kid here. My grandparents, like I said, moved here in 1972. My grandfather passed away last month, but my grandma still lives just a few blocks down that way. And I spent a lot of summers here, and I grew up here. And when I was a kid, I didn't see any of that. I didn't notice any of that. I didn't understand the racism and the injustice that existed here in Durant. I wonder why. Okay? The reason that I came here and I really wanted to speak to you today, thank you, Bryan, is because when I moved here in the fall of 2018 to start at Southeastern Oklahoma State University, I started to see the things that I didn't see as a child. I started to notice the microaggressions that people face every day here. I started to notice how our city officials talk, what dog whistles they use, how they treat black people in this city. Okay? And I started to do some research. I said, why is this like this? Why did I not notice this before? Well, when I started doing research, I found out that Durant was a sundown town. Now, some of you may not know what a sundown town is, so I've got a little history for you. In 1714, New Hampshire passed what's considered to be the first sundown town legislation. And the title of that civil ordinance was an act to prevent disorders in the night, right? And you can go and you can look up that act on the internet, and the full text is there. I won't read it to you today, but the essence of that civil act instituted a 9 p.m. curfew for all non-white citizens of New Hampshire. Okay, that was a blatantly racist act in 1714 when America was still colonies under Britain. We move on to the Civil War, and during Reconstruction, sundown towns exploded. After the Confederacy lost the Civil War, white people did not want to lose a lot of the power that they had enjoyed pre-Civil War.
Correct.
So what they did is they looked for any way that they could disadvantage black people, any way possible.
And these guys over here
and if it wasn't
are holding
codified
a sign
in civil law, it was through what are called exclusionary covenants, right? And what these are agreements between property owners and people who buy that property, or property owners and people who run the city, that say that you can legally prohibit black people, Asian peoples, Native Americans, these peoples from living on your property. In the 20th century, 50 years after the Civil War, but essentially, it also prohibited those peoples from occupying that any time. So not just living there, but they could live. And these are just some of the methods that they use. Not to mention the signs, not to mention the dirty looks, not to mention the blatant racist behavior that they use to socially ostracize and segregate black people in these communities. Okay, James Lowen, he holds a PhD from Harvard in sociology, and he wrote a book on sundown towns that was published in 2005. Pardon me, I just got to look at my notes real quick.
Oh my God.
2005 is when he published that book. And it
What does that say?
Says that sundown towns,
The
it's
Civil
really
War
hard to
Amendment.
get an accurate list and an accurate number
The
of how many towns
amendment.
engaged in blatantly racist and ostracizing behavior because they didn't keep record of it. I mean, if you were being blatantly racist in your policy, would you write that down? And if you knew you were on the wrong side of history, would you write that down? No, you wouldn't.
1,000.
So oftentimes they did not keep any record of their policy. But that, ladies and gentlemen, that does not make it any less real. It happened. It was real. And we can't
Our
erase
Confederate
that history.
ancestors were
Now,
right.
I'm going to transition to Durant. Remember how I said Durant was a sundown town? And my mom lived here in the 80s.
This man's holding a sign that says, our Confederate ancestors were right.
About a couple signs that existed in Durant when my mom was a kid. She doesn't remember the exact year that they were taken down, but she thinks that she was about 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range. So this was in the 80s, guys. And there was a sign, as you're coming in from Texas, if you exit off the highway on South 9th, as you're coming in from the south, or if you're coming in up Highway 69, it's East Main right there. There were two signs in Durant. And I'm going to quote my mom here on what she remembers seeing these signs saying. And those signs said, if you're black, don't let the sun set on your back in Durant, Oklahoma. Ladies and gentlemen, that was only 40 short years ago. People that saw those signs, like my mom, are still alive today. And some of them are still practicing it.
Hold this for a minute.
Working in Durant, they are still existing in Durant, and they're still making Durant a worse place to live for black people today. Okay, this is not just history, it's current events. So, let's talk about the statue. All right, this statue is on county land. That's the Bryan County Courthouse. It's not Durant City land. That's the Bryan County Courthouse. The statue's on county land. And that means the county holds jurisdiction over this statue. Now, the county commissioner's office is open 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every weekday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Their phone number is 580-924-2201. That's public record. You can Google that, and you can call them at any time during office hours. If you call after, you can leave a voicemail. Our county commissioners here in Durant, their names are Ron Boyer, Jay Perry, and Tony Simmons. Now, since this info is public record, these people hold public office, they're subject to calls from their constituents. You, the people who live in Bryan County. If you want to see this statue removed in Bryan County in Durant, Oklahoma, deconfederated, call. Visit the county commissioner's office. Run for county commissioner. Run for office. Volunteer in things like this that help get these statues taken down. Get active, and ladies and gentlemen, engage in your Bryan County community. Engage in the community that will get this statue taken down. I'm going to commit myself to calling at least 2 times a week and visiting once a week. And I challenge you guys to do the same. Guys, thank you for hearing what I've had to say. I hope you've learned something, and I hope you're feeling energized and ready to make a difference and move forward with this. Thank you guys again.
I don't use microphones often, so sorry. But I spoke last time in the actual meeting to the county commissioners, and so they thought it'd be a good idea for me to talk again. I guess thank you for coming today. It is kind of cold, so thank you for showing up. So I'm going to start up with saying this statue is a pedestal in front of the Bryan County.
Sorry if I was shaky.
And it holds Durant back to being a cohesive community. This is a racist pedestal, and it is disgraceful that this statue is in front of a public building. This statue creates a divide in the community and honors what Confederates did to African Americans. This statue is a public celebration of racism because the Civil War began because of the long-standing controversy over the enslavement of black people, and Confederate soldiers thought slavery was a southern right.
So we've got some
This statue is honoring what the Confederates did to
white looky-loos, you know. So, of course, this monument was erected by the United Daughters of the Confederacy, who in their own literature praised Confederate soldiers as the, quote, real Ku Klux. So we know that these monuments were erected not to honor Confederate soldiers for their wartime efforts, but for their sacrifices, quote, during the Reconstruction era, a time when the UDC described the horrors of black freedom and black men who equated their freedom as synonymous with equality. So that's the kind of ideology that the women who erected these monuments espoused in their literature. And this monument here features a Confederate soldier that is identical to the same ones atop most of the monuments in North Texas. They are nothing special. They are not historic legacies of any kind. They are mass-produced Confederate lawn ornaments that were erected during the Jim Crow era in an area, particularly throughout North Texas and throughout areas where there was high Union sentiment, in order to erode racial equality that was developing and racial tolerance that was developing after the Civil War. They are alternative histories that were erected very literally for the purposes of disenfranchising black communities that were thriving during the early 1920s and early 1900s after decades of building their communities up after emancipation. The problem is they were thriving without white endorsement.
I know it's cold and winter out, but I'll say that real bad. Last time we were out here, I talked about how the United Daughters of the Confederacy to put up this monument. They did not put this up 10 years after the Civil War.
So it looks like we've
20,
got our
30,
usual
40, or 50.
crowd of 21st century Ku Kluxers.
In Durant.
Do not ever call me Ku Klux Klan member.
We call
Oh, you are?
They can put this up
Yeah.
after we did a lynching in Durant of John Lee.
Oh yeah,
And
you're just the
chapter of
21st
United
century
Daughters of the
Klan.
Confederacy that put up this monument
You are.
were based out of Texas.
It's called slander.
Now, since they are the United Daughters of the Confederacy, what did the Confederacy
What a
in
fragile
Texas
little man you
think
are.
about when they were
Hey, you know
seceded?
that red dragon
Well, they let
tattoo
us
you
know.
got?
They wrote it down in their articles of
The
secession.
first Reconstruction era Klan, that was their logo.
Really?
Uh-huh.
You know you are.
We hold as undeniable truths
What a Karen
that
you
the
are. You're going to call the
governments of
cops?
the various states were established
Go ahead, call the cops.
exclusively by the white
You little
race.
coward.
This is the Confederacy in Texas when they seceded from the Union.
Coward. You need to stay away from me. You need to stay away from me. You need to stay away from me, sir. You need to get away from me now! Take a step back away from me now! Step away! Step away!
I'm a Klan member, right?
Step away!
You see that?
Step away!
Screaming again.
Be rendered beneficial
Thank you.
or intolerable.
Thank you. Oh, I'm fine.
They
Thank you,
said
sugar.
all white men are entitled to equal civil and political rights, that the servitude of the African race as existing in the states is mutually beneficial to both the bound and the free, and is abundantly authorized.
I'm not his people. Don't lump people together because of the color of their skin. I'm not his people.
I'm a
And the
Native
revealed
American. I'm
will
not born in Northern
of the
Cheyenne.
Almighty Creator.
You and every other racist who wants an
I don't think
excuse.
it gets any more white supremacist than that.
You just call me a Klan member, so now you will hear from my lawyer.
What a fragile little coward. Fragile.
Any more white supremacist than that.
Fragile little
That's the
coward.
ideology that this monument represents. Straight up white supremacy. And I, for one, am not going to stand idly by
You're shaking.
while a representation
Look
of
at you
white
shaking.
supremacy
You little
soils
coward.
the reputation,
Why don't you put a coat on?
of my
Do something about
community.
those shivers.
And I hope you will not either. And with that, I want to introduce our guest speaker, Professor Bryan Register, who's going to talk more about the Confederacy more broadly.
I'd be proud to be a Black Panther. That's a great organization. By the way, you spelled amendment wrong.
You have the best named county out of all the counties in the United States.
Look at him. He's still back there crying. He's so upset. She called me a white supremacist because I am. I just want to stand out here and harass people in peace. Oh, a cold's got my eyes watering. I'm fix my eyeliner a little bit.
Philosophy down in Austin, Texas. We're glad to be here. It's an interstate tour. Just because
Cold makes my eyes water.
I hope that the fact that we're able to have a multi-state event.
I'm just gonna fix this eyeliner a little bit.
All across Texas, Oklahoma, the rest of the
Bless
country,
his little
that there is a
pea-picking
widespread
heart.
interest in getting rid of these damn things. I'm the only person here not
Better.
from around here. So this is not some kind
Maybe.
of weird communist internationalist infiltrating your town. This is the good people of Durant, Oklahoma. Heard that there's someone who does a little bit of scholarly
He's
activism
still
on this area
crying.
and invited me to come in.
He's still crying, bless his little
I got
heart.
some stuff I want to teach, but I'm really hoping that we can talk to them for a second, if y'all don't mind. Sir, you with this sign, would you mind turning it around to the, actually first, so anti-Confederates are anti-Christian, anti-American, anti-truth, historically ignorant, bigots, propagandists, slanderers, haters, liars, and communists, but do not get to call somebody else a Klansman.
That's
Get this,
slander.
guys.
Sir, we do not belong to the Klan. We do not support the Klan.
Then
You
why
are
do
saying
you?
that I am anti-Christian,
Then why do you
anti-American,
act
anti-truth,
like
historically
it?
ignorant, bigots,
Why are you
propagandists,
wearing their
slanderers, haters, liars, and
symbols?
communists, and you don't care that that isn't true? Why would you expect us to care whether you're in the
Trying
Klan?
to destroy our history.
No. Look at your sign, sir. You're slandering us with your sign, but you can't take an insult back.
If you're not a Klan member, why are you wearing their symbols?
They hijacked it.
From who?
So,
That monument was
we're
erected by the
hearing hijacking
UDC.
this
Their
event.
own literature states clearly that the first generation Klan were the real Ku Klux of the Confederates.
I'll be getting to that in a second. Would you mind turning,
Compare.
Where'd you get your history degree?
sir, could you turn the sign around to the non-slander side?
I didn't get it out of a Cracker Jack box like you did.
Where'd you get it
So,
then?
Proof that the war was not about slavery. He starts with the Corwin Amendment.
No, he starts with the Corwin Amendment.
Nice. All right. So the Corwin Amendment was an amendment proposed to the Constitution by a congressman from Ohio. The Corwin Amendment was to amend the Constitution so that the federal government could not
We got
abolish
ourselves
slavery
a
in the states in which it
1%er.
existed. The federal government already could
You're gonna
not
need a
do
bigger
that,
crew,
and
sugar.
everybody knew it. It was nothing but a gesture. Everybody with any damn sense on
Where's
either
your bike,
side,
or did
including
you drive your
Lincoln,
Prius?
Actual abolitionists all agreed that
Oh,
the Corwin Amendment was
cute.
already
I love
in
when I can
effect.
make y'all
But the
smile.
damn
It's not
Southerners
hard.
are being such tiny
Mechanized
little
cavalry.
snowflakes
I've
that they
seen
want
that
to pat 'em on
before.
the head and
I met
say,
some of your buddies
"Oh, it's
in
gonna be all
Sherman.
right."
They were little
I know
wimps
that that's
too.
what the Southerners thought, because one of the senators from Virginia, so Virginia had voted not to secede yet. And so he was honor bound to do anything in the Senate that he could do in order to prevent the secession of Virginia. But he wanted Virginia to secede, but he felt honor bound. So he gave a long speech about the Corwin Amendment, saying that technically he would have to vote for it, but that it was complete nonsense because everybody knew that the federal government already could not abolish slavery in the states, and that's all the Corwin Amendment said. He spent 10 pages in the congressional record explaining why the Corwin Amendment was completely incompatible with the extension of slavery and was not going to solve the problem at all.
That's strike one.
I am going to have to admit that I do not remember offhand what the Crittenden-Johnston resolution was. Lincoln's own words tell us nothing about why the southern states seceded. It is amazing that people who want to vindicate the South spend most of their time talking about how the Yankees are a bunch of hypocrites or being misleading. Lincoln was not an abolitionist.
Nope.
Everybody knows that.
Right.
That doesn't mean that the southern states didn't think that he was. They were very clear that they thought that he was. Right? If you read the Texas Declaration of Secession,
Look at this
it
little
goes on at
coward
great
over here.
length
He's
about
still
the
crying.
Abolitionist Party.
Look at him.
That's what they call the
He's
Republican
still
Party.
crying.
Right? They said Lincoln just got elected by a whole bunch of
Did
Yankees
you call me a
specifically because he
Klan
was an
member?
abolitionist from an abolitionist
Even though
party.
I'm wearing
That wasn't true. The Republican
a
Party was not an abolitionist
tattoo.
party.
That
But
red
Texas thought it
dragon.
was.
Y'all look it up.
And here's the reason
First
that Texas
Reconstruction Klan. Look up the
Texas,
Klan
and the rest
banner
of the
of the
slaveholding
Reconstruction
South
Klan.
understood
You know what you'll
that if
see?
slavery did not
A
expand,
red
it
dragon,
would die.
just like that.
That is what totalitarians
That's what you'll see.
always know. That's why it is
I'm not
the
a
Nazis
Klanman, I
and
just wear their
Bolsheviks had to be so
symbols.
territorially aggressive.
Don't pick
Because
on
if your
me.
regime of oppression does not expand, people realized
He's
that
so
it might
upset.
shrink.
Fragile
Then it
little
will.
baby.
So, Southern leaders have been
Fragile
extremely
little
disappointed all
darling.
across the 19th
He's such an
century
idiot, he doesn't
that
even
we
know
had
he's got a
only
Klan
done one
tattoo.
major attack
That's how
on
fragile we
one
breed 'em
neighboring
here in
country to
South.
seize more territory to expand slavery into.
Go ahead. If you're
That, of
watching
course,
this
was
right now, first of all,
Mexican-American
share it.
Right, so the
Share it in your
entire
groups.
colonization of Texas by white
Then
Southerners was a
Google
filibustering
Reconstruction
expedition,
Klan
a very large one.
dragon
Right?
banner.
It was an illegal
It's gonna look
bringing of
exactly
slaves
like
into
the
a country
tattoo on
in which
that
slavery
man's
was
arm.
illegal, Mexico.
Fool.
But Santa Anna, for good or ill, decided to be kind of a jackass, justified a Texan revolution. Texas became an independent country.
She's
And then when
harass-
they
he's
tried to
calling the
join
cops
Union in
right now.
1826, Mexico said, sure, fine, whatever, but the border is a river, and Texas said,
No, he's calling the cops. He's on the phone with the cops right now.
Mexico, and that is how it is. New Mexico, Arizona, California, everything north ended up being part of the United States.
He's called
Southern leaders wanted
911.
to keep going. They wanted to conquer the rest of Mexico. There were filibustering expeditions all throughout Latin and Central America. Jefferson Davis gave a speech in which he was disappointed that
He
we had
called
not yet
911,
invaded
y'all.
Cuba to turn it into a slave state.
Oh, bless his little heart.
So Lincoln's own words about his
And
non-intention
they're
to abolish
telling him-
slavery in the states in which it existed did not mean that the South did not think that it was fighting for slavery. Let's see. More than 429,000 slaves in the Union.
He
after
told him he
secession.
shouldn't have called
That doesn't mean that the
911.
Southern states weren't fighting for their slaves. It just means that the Union wasn't trying to abolish slavery at the outset. Let's see. Thousands of blacks fought for
Oh,
the CSA.
bless their
That is kind of the
fragile,
IQ test of
fragile,
Confederate
pea-picking little
history.
hearts.
The correct number is approximately 0. And people will say, but look, Frederick Douglass reported thousands of black Confederate soldiers at the Battle of Manassas.
Ah,
Frederick
bless
Douglass
their
was nowhere near the
precious
Battle
little
of
hearts.
Manassas. Strangely enough, no Southerners knew about the thousands of black Confederate soldiers in that
So it
army.
looks like we do have some
They didn't
individuals
have
over
the
here who
3rd
are
North
accepting
Carolina
literature.
Negro
That's
Regiment or
cool.
something like that around. The
Makes you
Southern
wonder if
Army
they'll
said that they
actually
didn't
read
have any
it.
black members. They insisted on that at great length. Toward the end of the war, when they started to think,
So-
we might have to have some black soldiers, otherwise they're going to keep.
As
going
usual, you can see that this monument or this courthouse was erected with an endorsement from the Masons. It disappoints me as an Eastern Star member that the modern Masons would endorse a courthouse with a Confederate monument on it, although the Masons have a historic relationship with the Klan too. It's unfortunate, but it's true. The Klan infiltrated most fraternal orders in the height of the 1920s during their recruitment. So right now there's about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, maybe 12 people here to support this lecture on the history of the Confederacy and the Confederate legacy of white supremacy. There appears to be these 3 gentlemen. There's about, I'd say, 6 anti-protesters, counter-protesters. This guy definitely got a 1%er out here, the mechanized cavalry. They're out here. They were out in Sherman as well. I punked their little friends too. This guy over here is going to go live to his 2 Facebook followers. If you're watching now and you haven't yet, be sure to share this feed in your groups. Share it in your pages, in your groups. If anyone has not done so yet, if you could go to woke.net, woke.net, and submit this feed to woke.net.
Because they already done that in the 1860s and 70s. Right? In 1917,
I do not see any police presence, which is not necessarily a bad thing, so long as the local yokel Confederates behave themselves.
The United Confederacy announced itself as having 5 different purposes. The United Daughters of the Confederacy announced
I do want to talk.
and
The guy who got upset with me for calling him a Klansman, the Confederate veteran, the son of a Confederate veteran who I called a Klansman, got upset with me. He told me he was First Nations.
Icons. Now, at the last event that I gave this part of the talk,
Can I talk to y'all? I'm live recording. Is that okay? Or live broadcasting?
flags up.
Are y'all are y'all local Durant? Are y'all local from Durant? You are? How long have y'all lived here? Do you mind if I come a little closer? I'm going to put my mask on. I just want to make sure people can hear you. Okay.
All right.
I just want to make sure people can hear your response. So you moved here in 2016?
Yeah, I go here for college.
Oh, okay. Where do you go to college?
Honestly,
Okay.
I've been told that
Are you surprised to see the kind of turnout over here with these counter protesters?
Unfortunately,
No,
the
it
last
was
time I
worse
did this,
last
there was a
time.
white person
There was
holding the
way more
flag, and that was the
people last
only
time I
thing that
came.
made it into
There
a
were.
bunch of idiots.
You think the weather has kind of dulled it down a little bit?
All right, this is the thing that you think of when you think of the Confederate flag.
What would you say racial
Not only is it
relations
not
are like
the
in
Confederate
Durant,
flag,
Oklahoma?
It's barely even a
I've
Confederate
experienced them
flag.
at college
So
and stuff
there's
like
two
that. So
uses
it
that
is
this flag was
present
put
and
to
it is
during the
here.
war. First,
Racism, you mean? Racism is present in here?
It's definitely present here.
That was one
we're
of
a
the
small
four
town in
flags that
Oklahoma.
got to
It's
sort of the
definitely here.
finals
It's
in the
definitely
Confederate
present.
Congress to
And we
be the
can see that
national
with
flag of
people
the
here,
Confederacy.
but
It was proposed by
I
William
also
Porcher
don't
Miles.
believe they actively.
Now, in the 1860s, there were no professional
they're only
graphic
here
designers,
because
or at least not very many.
their stuff's
So
getting
what they
messed
had
with.
was a whole bunch of overeducated people.
care about
So
educating
William
us
Porcher Miles in
about
particular was a professor of
giving
literature, and he
facts
was also
or
a member of the
anything.
House of
They simply
Representatives in
want
South
to keep
Carolina.
racism alive by keeping the
And so he
statue. They don't
designed that, and I gotta
care
tell you,
about
I mean, this
facts or anything. They
graphic
just want to
design, it is a
hurt people
well-designed
basically
flag.
with keeping the statue.
I mean, it has
Right.
a certain stability. It has the
And
colors in
there
it.
haven't been any riots or destruction of property or anything like that in Durant during protests against the monument, has there?
No, not that I've seen. Nothing at all.
No threats of violence or destruction during protests, correct?
Not from my side, no.
Not from your side, but there has been from counter protesters.
The last time I was here and spoke at the county
All right,
commissioner's office,
so it was used for that.
me
It was
and my
later
little sister
adopted
and my
as the
grandmother had to leave
Naval
early
Ensign,
because we were getting
which is,
threatened
you
and
know,
stuff.
the flag on ships of the
Which
Confederacy.
nothing happened,
All right,
but I
so
left early because my sister, she's
actual
underage, and I
first
wanted to
national
protect
flag
her and didn't
Confederacy
stay
was
here and
against that.
yell and stuff, which I never do anyways.
This
I
is the
just
Stars
say
and
my
Bars.
piece, and then I let everyone
This
else
is one of the
go.
other two of those four finalists. This is the one that was.
Is there anything else in particular? Anything else in particular you think people should know about what's been going on in Durant regarding local activism against systemic
It
racism?
looked a lot like the U.S. flag.
That we're
These guys
trying,
thought,
and it's a
but look,
long
the whole
process,
point of
but
the
there is a
Constitution
start,
was
and we
for us
are
to be able to
trying,
keep
and we do
slaves.
have the ball
So we're the
rolling.
real Americans.
And
so
we don't
should
want
get
to, because people
as
say that
U.S.
to
of
get
A
rid of the
flag
statue
as
is
we can get. Some
destroying
idiots
history.
actually wanted to just
We
keep
don't want
using
to destroy
the stars
history.
and
We just want
stripes.
to get rid
But
of
what
the
they
statue
settled with was
that's
this thing here.
blatantly
So instead
celebrating
of the
racism
stripes
in
of
the
the
middle of
13
our town.
colonies, they have three
Thank you.
bars.
What was? Do you mind telling me your name?
I'm Scarlett Fletcher.
Cool. Thank you, Skylar. All right.
And the number of stars was to match the number of states in the Confederacy. The first of these
So,
had 7 stars. After 4 more states
no surprise, pretty much the same.
People considered that a couple of more of the states had seceded even though they hadn't succeeded exactly.
Pro-Confederate folks who showed up are the extremists. They will kill to preserve the perceived purity. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's why that guy got so mad when I called him, when I referred to them as 21st century Klansmen, because, God, y'all, my eyeliner is just destroyed from watering eyes from the wind. Sorry. You're going to have to look at my messy face, y'all. Anyway, that's why that guy got so upset when I referred to them as Klansmen, 21st century Klansmen, these gentlemen over here. The guy just absolutely lost his shit because they know it's true. They know they're wearing symbols used by the Klan. They know that they're being racist by coming out here. I mean, their sign says the Confederacy was right. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know that they're out here to intimidate people and try to suppress First Amendment rights. As I was just talking to the woman behind me, Skylar, who is a college student here in Durant. She was explaining to me how the last time she went and spoke at the county courthouse, at the county commissioners meeting, calling for the removal of the racist Confederate monument on their courthouse lawn, that her and her family, her sister and her mother couldn't even do that without being threatened with violence by white men. So these are the same tactics that have historically been used by the Klan and by white supremacists to suppress First Amendment rights of people of color and people, white allies who are pushing for racial equality.
Beauregard explained that they couldn't keep using.
Yes, that is exactly what Bryan Register is doing. And quite frankly, the reason I don't come out here and just focus on Bryan the whole time is I always try to find local members of the community to talk to them. And also because Bryan's lectures are all available online. So I don't need to broadcast those. I do try to catch snippets of them, but I try to prioritize voices from the local community, including those of racists, so that I can call them out and expose them. And they're obviously out here because they have a message and they want people to know who they are. So I think it's important that everybody knows who the racists are in the local communities too. So it's important to make sure that we get those folks on record. Here in just a little bit, I'll talk to them again, see if I can't get their names. It's important to let them calm down. My very presence already sent them into a complete hissy fit. These guys are awfully fragile, so we'll have to pace ourselves with them. I don't know that they can handle too much interaction all at once, as they showed us earlier. As usual, as you can see, that's right, James, correct. And yet that's what their sign says. So I'm going to bring that up to them too here in a little bit, but we'll see. They actually appear to be listening right now, so I don't really want to distract them. They just might fucking learn something today. We'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see. We'll see what they learn today. I'm going to ask them when the lecture's over, but I really don't want to distract them while it's going on. As usual,
that is actually true.
you have lots of protesters wearing masks, being respectful of the mask mandate to prevent the spread of COVID. But of course, our genius historians over here don't feel any need for masks. It's always easy to tell who's who.
That's the actual Confederate battle flag.
Now we do have, there's some gentlemen over here in the gazebo. Earlier when people were handing out literature, they did accept.
All right, so that was a flag that was ultimately designed by
I don't assume everyone wearing a cut is a biker, but I know, thanks for saying that, Christopher. Yeah, of course I didn't call you out for wearing a cut. I myself ride, and I have a cut myself. What you won't find on that is patches celebrating the Confederacy or that are associated with white supremacy or white supremacist groups. So that gentleman right there is wearing a Confederate Mechanized Mechanics patch, which is a racist biker group, and he's also wearing a 1%er patch. So I know for a fact that he is a white supremacist because his patches identify him as such. So I don't have any problem with bikers. I worked for Harley Davidson for a long time, as a matter of fact. Grew up with motorcycles and could probably, most likely, outride that little bitch. No doubt. His bike over there is, let's see, what has he got? Oh, he's got a street bob. Where's that? That's a giant.
Idiots who say
it's weak. Weak.
I don't have a dog, I have a schnauzer.
He's got a new mass-produced Harley. I used to sell them to ding-dongs like him and convince them to spend their entire paycheck for them all day long. Nothing special.
But it was my object to bring before your notice the almost universal belief in this country, and that not a passive but an active belief that a Republican form of
Hi, sugar. Go ahead, take my picture. I know, honey. I know you're upset. You'll be all right. Don't worry. Just listen. Learn something. Listen.
Why do you spread among us that I fear that in stating it is an error, even before this intelligent and educated audience? I will excite
it just kills him.
But I do not fear you'll misunderstand me. As an American addressing Americans, it is hardly necessary for me to say that I believe our form of government to be not only the best possible form for us,
so still about a dozen folks standing around here. This gentleman over here, I'm assuming, is probably a cop, I'm going to guess. Still a couple folks here, sitting here in the gazebo. You can see that the Courthouse Square itself, the downtown square, is very small. This is a very, very small community. It is a college town, though, as we learned earlier. So when I came over here, when I passed by, I just want to show y'all. So here is the Bryan County Courthouse. And over here you'll see there's the Confederate Monument. And it was erected by the local United Daughters of the Confederacy during the early 1920s. At the same time that African American communities in Oklahoma, like that one in Tulsa, like Greenwood, were being burned, when black people were being hung from lampposts regularly. I mean, it was a time of blatant racial tyranny and white terrorism. And so you do have the historic courthouse here. It has been revamped, but it is a historic courthouse. And so here's what's interesting. Here's a monument in honor of all American men and women veterans of all wars. And you'll notice it includes all the branches of the military. You know what it doesn't include? What is it missing? No Confederate Army listed here because that's not an American army. So you'll see a lot of times on these historic courthouse lawns where there are historic Confederate monuments, the new government will erect an all-war memorial because, of course, it is egregious to have a monument to terrorists and traitors on the courthouse lawn and not have a memorial to soldiers. But so while the soldiers of particular wars, the veterans, the men and women who died fighting for America, they don't even have their own unique monument for those wars. But there's a monument to the Confederacy. So instead of taking that monument down, they provide an alternative catch-all monument for our actual American soldiers. And so here on the Confederate, or the Confederate courthouse, well, technically. So this is the seat of law here in Bryan County. This is the seat of law in Durant, Oklahoma. You'll see here's the Bryan County Law Enforcement Center, the Sheriff's Department. What keeps changing, Michelle? Oh, you're... So you get the Bryan County Law Enforcement Center, the Sheriff's Department, and the jail. And here at the seat of justice in Bryan County, Oklahoma, you have the Confederate Monument. So you can obviously understand how that would be upsetting to indigenous persons, people of color who don't feel that they have equal representation under the law and that they can count on justice, because obviously they cannot. Obviously they cannot. So again, if you're watching this and you haven't yet, be sure to share it on your page. Be sure to share it in your group so we can expose what's happening here in Bryan County and Durant, Oklahoma. The fire department across the street here too.
Telling me this guy had an opinion. How do I know he really had that opinion? Look at the footnote. Reading his own words. So the guy who designed the Confederate flag disagreed with the Declaration of Independence by name. He considered the claim that all men are created equal to be debasing. All right. So that flag was not adopted. It only became popular after the war. Well, let's take a look at the stars and bars.
So here's the Confederate Monument once again. And this monument, anyone who's familiar at all with my work in activism knows that this monument here features a Confederate soldier at the top that is absolutely identical to the one that was removed from the Courthouse Square in Denton County, Texas, earlier this year in the midst of Black Lives Matter protests. You also know that it is identical to the Confederate Monument that is in Cook County, Texas, where we're headed next, in Gainesville. These are mass-produced. They are nothing special. They are nothing unique. You'll notice there's no name of any soldiers. It says, in honor of gallant Confederate soldiers, and it was erected by the UDC. And we can read UDC literature, which tells us blatantly that they didn't celebrate Confederate soldiers for their wartime efforts. They celebrated Confederate soldiers for their work and efforts during Reconstruction. For their heroization as Klan members, as the original Ku Klux Klan. These are monuments to Klansmen. Just like these men over here are wearing the regalia of the Klan. Whether they want to admit it or not, they are. They're also appropriating Native culture. That's fine. Maybe they're just appreciating it. Maybe I shouldn't assume they're appropriating it. But anybody who wears that jacket and then puts a Confederate flag with it, I would say is not respecting Native culture.
We're not really fighting about states' rights. We're only really fighting about abolitionism. Why would you come up with that as your fiction? Right? That's the truth. They thought they were fighting against the abolition despotism. To avoid the evil consequences growing out of the confusion of flags on the battlefield, General Beauregard adopted the Southern Cross or battle flag, the square one he was all a second ago. Adopted it, which has so grown in favor with the Army as to be now almost universally substituted in the field for the stars and bars. This battle flag has been consecrated by the best blood of the nation. It is hallowed by the memories of glorious victories. It is sanctified by the symbol of our religious faith.
Just gonna walk across the street here. Let's see what we got going on over here. No, they won't look at me, sugar. They're too scared of me. Listen, nothing terrifies white supremacists more than a white woman who doesn't pander to them as fragile and weak and in need of their protection. They rely on the weakness of white womanhood as the foundation of their need to be white supremacists. So when a white woman comes out and tells them they're fools and cowards, boy, nothing triggers them more. Because they're just fragile little toddlers. And they just can't handle it. So this is what the scene looks like across the street. We just had a couple more folks show up. I don't know, but I'm going to walk by again and just grab one. Yeah, there's nothing going on down here. It is, this is a small community that is not a direct thoroughfare off the highway like some of the others that we've seen. But there is a larger community college here, which does kind of course, tend to inspire activism. Turns out, when you educate people, they learn their rights and they learn the truth about history. All of a sudden, false legends and legacies of white power don't stand up anymore. Yeah, exactly. These fools want me to come out here and go, oh, thank you for coming out here to keep me safe. They're fucking terrorists. They are terrorists by definition. So I don't see, there's a museum down the road. I'm dying to know what that looks like on the inside. These guys are out here listening to all the words of the Confederacy being read back at them that they're so proud of that they claim we're right. Needless to say, they're a little fidgety.
All right, it may be objected that a flag in which white prevails might be mistaken for a flag of truce. That has actually happened an awful lot. They eventually had to change it by sticking a red stripe down the side. Then they had to change it again by cutting the red stripe off and also cutting the corner out to develop the final Confederate flag of surrender. All right. That it might be easily mistaken as red or blue, that it would be easily soiled and so forth. The first objection is not good for the reason that the red field and blue cross would be a prominent feature in the flag. From its position at the top of the staff could not be hidden by the folds of the flag. In the smoke of battle, or at sea against the blue sky, the white would stand out as vividly as either the stars and the stripes of abolitiondom, the tricolor of France, or the red flag of England. All right, so that over there, according to the designer of the middle of the war Confederate national flag, was the flag of abolitiondom, not the flag of nationalism, not the flag of tariffs, not the flag of anything but the end of slavery. You cannot be more explicit than Confederate leaders were. All right, those are Confederate leaders. How about everybody else?
Whisper, whisper, whisper. Ku Klux whispers. Keep whispering, Klan boy.
That's what this thing hears. So I've given you all this little pamphlet-y, leaflet-y, whatever.
Clan
this thing.
boy.
So, hi, I'm Bryan Register. This
Sue
is the
me.
Texas
I'll give you my
Reconstruction
full
Project.
name and address
This
to
is
send the
fifth of our
paperwork
7
to.
cities that we're doing.
Jessica Ray Luther
Tonight,
Rommel,
we're
7400
gonna
North Locust
So you
Street,
look at the bottom
Denton,
of this.
Texas. You can go
Here
back on my
was
feed
a
and write it down yourself,
cartoon
clan
from the
boy.
time, from 1856. Senator Charles Sumner of Maine was one of the leading abolitionists. And he gave
Nobody's
a speech
scared
in the
of
Senate
you.
in 1856,
It doesn't work
pointing out
anymore.
what everybody knew.
Why don't you go get your
Slave
ghost
owners had a
costume?
tendency
Try
to
that,
rape
see
their
how it
property.
works.
And this so enraged a senator from South Carolina.
Did you want people to come out
that
here and
he
shiver
ran across
because of
the
you,
Senate
sugar?
Floor, the Senate of the United States of America,
I'm
with
ignorant.
a
You
big
can't
heavy
even spell the
club,
word
beat hell
amendment
out
on a
of him. This old
sign.
man beat him until he was in a coma for 6 weeks. He didn't really live
You can't
all
even
that long
spell.
after that. He did not beat the hell out of him.
I'm
or
ignorant. You're
terrorists.
wearing a Ku Klux Klan
All right,
tattoo.
turn the page.
And you don't even
Get back
know
to the
it.
front page of this thing if you can. Here is.
Why don't you go
Anybody who wants one,
Google?
we've got several. Does anybody want one of these?
Go look it up. Yeah, I'm stupid. I can spell the word amendment. Yeah, don't talk to her. Won't you listen to your boss over here? Then why is he telling you to be quiet? He's not saving me. That punk right there isn't saving me from nothing. He's a chump like you.
All right.
Don't talk to her. You better listen to your boss there. Don't talk to me. Listen to your boss, sugar.
Let's
Why don't
get
you
back
listen
the
to him?
teaching.
Listen to the teacher. School's in
This is
session.
a recruitment poster.
School's in
From
session.
Virginia in May of 1861.
Calm down,
May
little
30th
boy.
of
School's in
1861.
session. Listen, the teacher's
This was
talking.
weeks before the first major battle of the war, the first battle of Manassas. There were
Oh,
basically
yes,
no
yes.
Union troops
A strong,
on any
independent woman
seceded
must be
territories
lesbian,
at
as if
that
that's a
point.
bad thing, first of
There
all.
were no Union war crimes of any kind. There weren't even rumors of Union war crimes of any kind. So here it is, before the first major battle of the war. And
Good,
you know
listen up.
What their motivations were. Headquarters, Virginia Forces, Staunton, Virginia. Men of Virginia to the rescue. Your soil has been invaded by your abolition foes. Not your nationalist foes, not your Yankee foes, not your tariff foes, your abolition foes.
So you're Dominican and you
this
wear a
was
whale's
a
flag?
recruitment poster. This was an effort to get the ordinary
He's so
Southern
upset and
white
triggered
man
about
into
his
the army.
tattoo.
The ordinary Southern white man did not own slaves, and yet still, they thought he would respond to a call to prevent abolition. You don't have to own slaves in order to want people
That
to
makes
be
it that
owned.
much more despicable that you're a white
Why, in a minute.
supremacist, not that you're not.
All right, and then it goes down a little bit. Action, action should be
I'm
our
not with
rallying
any
motto,
organization.
And the sentiment of Virginia's
Stop
inspired
lumping
order,
people
give me
together
liberty,
because of the
give me
color
death,
of their
animate
skin,
every
ding dong.
loyal
It's
son
called
of the Old
racism.
Dominion. Let us drive back the invading foot of a brutal and desperate foe.
If you don't want to be
You don't
called a
think
white
people were desperate
supremacist, stop
about
wearing
Yankee
their
Army at that
symbols.
point. Or
You're
leave a
wearing
record to
the flag
posterity
of the
that
Ku
we
Klux
died bravely
Confederacy.
defending our homes and firesides, the
Honey,
honor of our
do you need a
wives and
mirror?
daughters. Who were they defending?
Let me zoom
the
in
honor
on
of
it
their
for
wives
you.
and
Here you
daughters?
go.
Please do.
There
There
were
you go.
illusions of
Oh,
rapacious
yeah.
Yankee
Well, this happens
soldiers,
to be a flag of a soldier.
but everybody knew what.
No, it happens to be the flag of the Ku Klux Confederacy.
That's why it is that the ordinary Southern white man. could
Who
fight
was the
for
first
slavery
Klan made of?
even though he
Was it
didn't
made of
believe
Union soldiers?
In just the same way that people
Was it
want to
made of Union
militarize the
soldiers?
police nowadays, they want to massively
That's
balloon
right. The
police
first Klan was
budgets
started by
nowadays,
Confederate
even though they're not
soldiers,
in the
and they flew that flag for their organization.
Poor Southern white men.
Yes, they did.
Felt safe only if somebody.
Because they,
was
in their
able
own
to
words, you want to know why they were created in their own words? Because Negroes confuse their freedom as synonymous with equality. Their words, sir.
Were created. The first one was created
Oh my God.
to protect.
All right. So the ordinary Southern soldier didn't fight for slaves.
Did you just make that up yourself, or did you find that on a meme somewhere? You need to respect 6 feet, sir. I have not come in your space. You need to respect mine. You need to respect my space. I have not come up on you. I am not afraid of you. But you need to respect my space. This is your last warning, coward. No one's afraid of ghosts around here.
Oh, boogeyman.
All right. Back to 1861. Everybody.
That's what I thought. Now shut up and listen to the teacher, little boy.
That's a good idea. That really is. All right, so look at this thing. This is a song sheet printed in Galveston in 1862.
Don't you forget it.
This was a song written by an ordinary private soldier from Alabama. He was in an Alabama infantry regiment called the Alabama Hickories. His name was
Wrong. Ku Klux Klan started well before that one, sweetheart. Try again. Get out your Google history book or listen. Class is in session, sweetheart. You need to listen up or shut up.
Roosters has the caption Confederate. That rooster is saying, as usual, with
Go ahead, make your... Hey, I tell you what. Since y'all are so proud, can I get your name right quick? Why aren't you proud? I told you mine. Hell, I gave you my address. What are you scared of, coward?
I'll change my face and free the Negroes, says old
Thank
Abe.
you. Won't you write your name down on
The
it?
caption under that.
What's your name?
Abolitionist.
Oh, I'll take that
Not
too.
unionist.
What's your
Not
name?
tariff. Not hate your state's rights.
Jeff Pollock? Polk,
Ordinary
P-O-L-K?
Confederate song sheet written for ordinary
P-A-U-L-K? Jeff
They
Polk.
said that the
You're from
Indians
Durant here?
abolitionists. Who are we to tell
Where
the
you from?
Confederates that they were wrong about their
So
own
you drove all the
motivation?
way here from Tulsa?
Who are we
Why?
to pretend that they weren't fighting for slavery like they said they did? And here's the song.
Yeah, to defend your white supremacist
All
monument.
right. This was a common marching song. People would sing
What
this
ancestors?
song
You just said you don't live here. You're not
first
from
thing in
here.
the
You don't have any
morning.
ancestors
Sing
here.
a marching song all day long.
So why are you here?
Fresh after dusk.
My great
So anything.
was Confederate.
Grandfather fought.
Cool, he was a traitor. Sad. Why would you be proud of that?
Now here's a song.
My grandpa, I have an ancestor who fought for the Confederacy too, honey, but I'm not proud of it. He was a traitor.
Old Abe tried to enslave us, but soon it was the cry
Because
of
Reconstruction
liberty,
failed
for
because
some boy,
Confederates
one man
retained
died.
power
Here's the
because
chorus.
it's a country
It's repeated
founded on
9
white
times in the
supremacy.
song. Hurrah for slavery!
That's what they said.
For
Hurrah
Southerners
for
are the
slavery.
boys, Blah blah blah.
That's what they chanted on the
9 times in song.
battlefield.
The song maybe lasts 5 minutes. So you sing the song.
That's what you're proud of.
Well, 20 times.
That's not rewritten history. That's primary documents, sweetheart.
12
That's the
times in
words
the
of the Confederates you claim that were so
12.
good. Our Confederate ancestors were right. That's what your sign says.
So
That's what they
108
screamed.
times an
Hurrah
hour
for
that you
slavery.
say, Hurrah for
Hurrah
slavery.
for slavery. That's what they said.
Say that 108 times an hour. If you say something 108 times an hour, it
Yes,
might be
sweetheart, and the only people who don't say that are people who don't have degrees in history. It's always people who don't have degrees in history out here saying it wasn't about slavery. Name one historian who says it wasn't. One historian. Give me the name of one historian. That's not a historian. No, he's not. Just because someone says they're a historian, he's not peer-reviewed. He does not have a degree in Civil War history.
They didn't own slaves,
Blessed by the
right? You can like something.
No, he's just not a historian.
Benefit from it, and I have.
He doesn't have a doctorate in history degree, sir.
Authority on Southern psychology here. Jefferson Davis, later.
Also not a historian. Also not a
10
historian.
years before the Civil
Anybody can
War.
write a book, sweetheart. Hell, anybody can write a Facebook post. Doesn't make it right.
Famous and prominent. So in Aberdeen, Mississippi, on May 26,
No, getting a degree and then other historians review your work, and it requires so the only people so everyone with a degree from college is a socialist. Yeah, y'all always walk away when you don't have an argument because you're weak and you're
Colonel
ignorant.
Davis said that he heard it said that the poor man.
I'm gonna burn it later, and I'm gonna say your name while I do it.
And would consequently array themselves on the side of the
This
so-called
is
union.
alternative
That is
facts.
that the submissionists claimed them. Right. So some people say that poor
You're just
white people who
mad
don't
because
own
you didn't get to
slaves
come out here and
won't
feel
fight for
comfortable.
slaves.
My job is to make you uncomfortable.
That, he could not
I know, that's my job,
According to
honey.
the country we're so
You don't get to
proud
show
of,
up and
systems
promote
that
white
cheated
supremacy
out
and
of
let it be normal anymore. It doesn't get to be normalized anymore. It's not normal. It's not okay. It's not appropriate ever. It's inappropriate. It's wrong. And you don't get to feel comfortable doing it anymore. And so long as you do, myself and people like me will come out to make sure you know what an idiot you are.
that whenever the poor white man labored for the rich, he did
So now you get to decide my religion? You don't think I'm Hindu? Why?
It's identity.
Oh, really? Well, I hate to tell you something. They sure do, honey. Happy Navratri. Right now, I celebrate my goddess Durga, who is a destroyer of egos and weak, pathetic little men like you. So don't tell me my religion, because you know what? It doesn't surprise me. Racists like you are always religious bigots, too. Every time. Every single time. Why don't you make? You've already called me a lesbian, then told me I don't. I'm not the religion that I am. Why don't you go ahead and make some demeaning comments about my body too? Go ahead. Let's get all the boxes checked. You guys operate like a textbook too. Go ahead. Make yourself famous. You're so proud you won't even say your name. Won't put your name on it, just like a Klan. That's what they did. I'm not going to harass your family. Why would I do that?
Right?
No, honey, I just come out and make sure white supremacists like you feel uncomfortable.
I assume you knew what he was talking about. Next page.
I sure will go after your job.
So this is from the War Songs and Poems of
Well, tell me your name.
This was compiled in about 1910.
Well, because you don't want me to go after your job then, because you're scared, because you know what you're doing is wrong. If you didn't think what you were doing was wrong, you'd tell me your name, because you wouldn't be scared that you might get in trouble for it.
Most of them are war is hell.
I'll let you have it.
Okay, tell me.
This is all, noble. Or I really miss home.
Let me guess, do you date black girls too?
Say about that. But this one is a slightly different one. There's a whole bunch.
Oh, y'all crack me up, I swear to God. Come on, tell me your name, proud boy.
I think a doctor in Nashville.
Tell me your name.
So the
Tell me your name.
It says in June 1865, an Italian Texas.
What you scared of? Aren't you proud?
Unfortunately, nobody's over there.
Oh, so you can talk about the race of your ex-wife, but you can't tell us your name?
No Texas Rangers were in.
What a coward.
But if you check Terry,
Coward.
June of 1861. So there's just a typo.
Coward. I am an agitator. I agitate white supremacists all day, proudly, because I don't want you to feel comfortable in public anymore. You shouldn't. You should be ashamed of what you're doing. The Klan's not welcome anymore, sweetheart.
Are coming south to pull their triggers.
Yeah, you guys always giggle when you're nervous and you don't know what to say. I know I make you nervous. It's okay.
That was a vulgar
You feel
term.
tough because you got your bodyguard over here. I'm not scared of him either. Go ahead, record, sugar. That's Jessica
There's the
Luther
American
Rummel. Write it down and remember it, because I'm going to haunt you. You bet, baby. Look me up. Go ahead. Get in line. 7400 North Locust Street, Denton, Texas. Show up and see what happens. Take one step on my property and see what happens. If you show up on my property, damn right. I'll say it again. You show up on my property uninvited, damn right.
N-word actually has been a slur since it came into being. Back in the very initial sort of
That's not what I said,
West
honey.
Africa,
But if you do come near me or touch me, absolutely you would get hurt.
indistinguishably have a word.
Absolutely you
At the
would.
beginning, a G in the middle, and then some kind of
That's-
R sound.
that's-
But as soon as Negro
I'm
and
not threatening you either. I'm telling you that I will defend myself if you touch me.
and the other one was the vulgar one.
Okay.
So they were not saying kill our boys in 3 hours.
Oh, they always want to shut the law. I'm so scared. Why don't you call the police right now and tell them? Call 911, sugar. Call your friends. Go ahead. Call 911. Tell them, honey. Tell them how mean I'm being to you for not letting you stand out here and be a white supremacist. She won't leave me alone and let me stand out here and espouse my racism in peace. Can't I just stand out here and be a racist in peace? No, you can't. It's the 21st century, darling. It doesn't fly anymore. The Klan's not welcome. White supremacy's not welcome anymore. And it's not going to be normalized anymore. You don't get to stand out here and pretend that it's normal and okay. It is not. It is not normal and it is not okay. Take my picture.
Absolutely thrilled with the Emancipation Proclamation.
You act like a Klan member. You sure do. You wear their symbols. You act like one, walk like one, talk like one. Where I'm come from, when they act like a Klux, walk like a Klux, and talk like a Klux, I call them a Klux.
I can stick a printer in my car. It wasn't that easy. But still, you could have.
I don't know. You tell me. You're wearing their symbols. Like, you explain it to me.
A regiment of soldiers, about 1,000.
I didn't call you a
soldiers,
Klan member. I said you act
could
like the
actually
Klan.
afford a printing press. So many regiments in both sides actually had their own printing presses,
Yeah,
in which they printed their
I
own.
mean,
little
now you're just supporting my logic, sweetheart. Maybe we're getting somewhere. Take his picture. He can take a memory. Look, sugar, this is the day I showed up to be a white supremacist in public. Woo! Put it in your scrapbook, honey. Mark the day and time.
This particular group, by the way, had invaded Ohio and burned a number of towns in it. But their little editor.
I've heard, honey, he's citing my research. I know what he's saying.
During November 2nd,
I wrote the
1862,
thesis,
they had-
dumbass.
Well, this is about 2 weeks after the Emancipation Proclamation.
Really? You tell you what, I'll be down at the Texas State Historical Association presenting again next year. Well, honey, you gonna
The
come?
ordinary Confederate soldier
No,
said,
not the next
"I wish
one.
those
It moves
men
from city to
would
city."
admit that they're trying to abolish slavery, but they keep saying
Honey,
they're not.
you're not
We
listening.
know we're fighting for
The Texas
slavery.
State
It's the
Historical
damn Yankees
Association
who don't know
hosts an
they're
annual
fighting against
convention every year. It moves from city to city. I've presented on more than one occasion. When did you
It's
present?
a hard matter to get a union
When was your
organized
research on the Klan and the Confederacy presented?
Right,
What's the name of your
Union soldier will say to
thesis?
the Southern soldier, If I thought this was a war for the abolition of slavery, I would normally lay down my arms and have taken up the defense.
What's the name of your thesis? I said.
Right? The ordinary Union soldier thought that he was fighting for the Union. But the
I see.
ordinary
Right.
Southern
You're
soldier
not
knew that he was
an
fighting
expert.
for
You're
slavery.
not a historian. Got it. You don't have a degree.
Now that the Emancipation Proclamation has come
If you
out,
got a PhD, then tell me the name of your thesis.
Not a war.
No, you didn't.
The blacks and the whole course of the Yankee government has been not only directed to the abolition of slavery, but even to a stirring up of servile insurrections, is either a fool or a liar.
Honey, and that's got you a
Ordinary
PhD?
Southerner, the Emancipation Proclamation
I'll look it up.
clarified the issue. Finally, the damn Yankees are admitting that they're trying to end
What was the
slavery.
name that thesis
They've
was
been
written
pretending
under?
Not to this whole time.
No,
We
your
know
name,
why.
honey. How can I look it up?
Now
So
they've
I should be able to
finally
look up
told
the
us
name of that
truth.
thesis then, and then your name would be on it.
That gets us
There
through the
you
war.
go. My name will be on
What
it.
happens after the war? All right. This monument was erected by the United Daughters of the Confederacy.
That's how I know you didn't write that thesis, dumbass, because you wouldn't tell me your name.
It was 2 years after the movie.
Okay, you know what? I'll take a half step back. There we go.
Which
6 feet.
began
Nope, that's
the
6.
Ku Klux Klan.
That's 6.
The Ku Klux Klan had basically gone out of existence after
I just gave you
Reconstruction.
6.
They had won by terrorism by night what their armies had lost by
I thought you
day.
wanted attention. Why else are you
And
out
then,
here?
You know, they were just kind of no longer particularly necessary. Understanding what
No, you're not. You're on your
necessary
phone.
But then in 1915,
He doesn't have a PhD in. She's got a PhD in sucking Trump's dicks. What he's got a PhD in.
Birth of a Nation was a movie made by W.D. Griffith, an incredibly gifted filmmaker. I've never seen
Are you telling me I'm wrong?
one of his other movies, Intolerance. And, it's this
Are you telling me I'm wrong?
so you think you're gonna
Go ahead. Tell everybody that you're not voting for Trump. Careful, your buddies might hear
a
you.
really good movie for being made.
You sure do. So be proud of it. Who you voting for?
All right, so he's Hollywood, so he knows how to make a Hollywood movie. The Burning Cross, he invented that movie. That had never been a KKK thing.
No, I'd rather keep my camera on you. You're more entertaining.
Terrifying image of racism in America.
I make you nervous, and I like to document it.
That Hollywood
'Cause you're so
did, in
fragile.
fact, infiltrate the decent people of America.
That nervous little giggle of yours gives it away.
The organization believes I've netted ours.
Did you want to come out here and feel comfortable today and just espouse your racism and nobody mess with you? Sorry, sugar. It's the 21st century. It doesn't work like that anymore. You come out here wearing symbols of hate.
Confederate ancestors. So in 1913,
You're holding a sign. When I walked up, you're standing here with a group. You're wearing a Confederate flag. You're standing here with a group of people holding a sign that said the Confederacy was right.
This was a book written for the purpose of being a
Yeah,
public
you're
school
free.
textbook.
You have the absolute.
Public school textbook.
Exactly. You have the freedom of expression to come out and promote your white supremacy. I have the freedom to stand here and tell you that you're a white supremacist and that you shouldn't be here doing it.
The Ku Klux Klan, or Invisible.
I'm not intimidating you.
Endorsement. This book
I'm
was
sorry if you find me intimidating, sugar. I just tend to naturally have that effect on white supremacists.
proposed and then used as
That's
a
not my
public school
fault.
textbook. So the people who put this up, 4
They're here.
years before they put
A lot
this
of the
up,
folks in
they
the black
wrote
community have
this.
spoken already, though it's
This
been
book
explained
was
earlier. They don't
dedicated
feel
by the author
comfortable
to the
being
youth
here
of the
because of the white
Southland, hoping that a
supremacists.
perusal of its
The
pages
black
will
member of the
inspire
community
them
who
with
spoke
respect and
earlier
admiration
explained
for the
that
Confederate
when they go to
soldiers
speak
who
up in
were the
public, they
real
get
Ku
harassed and
Klux,
threatened.
and whose deeds of courage and
Listen
valor
now, this
have
is
never been
important.
surpassed and rarely equaled in the annals of history. The people who put this thing up, 4 years before they put it up, they said that the Confederacy and the KKK were the same thing.
So earlier when I was
In
out here,
1913, I
we
said
did
that the
talk to
Confederacy and the
several
Klan are the
members
same
of the
thing.
black
In
community, and they
1917, I
explained
praised the
how
Confederacy.
when they've tried to
You're
come
not
out in the
having to reason
past to
very hard
speak
to figure
here
out that I'm praising the
and
Klan.
speak to the county
This is
commissioners,
explicitly
they're regularly
a
harassed
Klan
and threatened,
monument.
so they don't feel safe coming out and doing
It's not
this.
implicit, it's not cynical. That's not a 21st century
It's,
postmodern liberal communist interpretation.
Really sad. It's the same story that we hear everywhere.
Said that.
So here's the bullshit rhetoric that these guys are handing out. This is the
All right, another monument down in Texas. We got the Hoods Texas Brigade Monument. Down
the
there.
Marxists and those brainwashed by the Marxists have long been contended the reasons for the war of northern aggression.
Everybody came to dedication ceremonies. You got the front page of that down here. They had just all kinds of paraphernalia and artifacts in there. It was a really interesting little book. Well, not little. And here's a song.
I don't know.
This is the last song I'm going to give you. So this is from a guy who claimed to be a major.
This
in
is
some
his
kind of
rhetoric.
Confederate Army terrorist club. And he wrote this after the war, and it was a popular little ditty. There might have been sort of an edge of exaggeration or humor behind it, but it certainly was not presented ironically in this book. So here, let me sing you a little bit about how Confederate soldiers...
Not one
ordinary
Confederate was charged with
soldier,
treason.
felt about the United States after
Yeah,
the
because
war.
in the South, Confederates were allowed to retain power, so they didn't try their own people.
I do not care a damn. I'm glad I
This
fight
is
against it.
this is literature produced by the sons of the Confederate veterans of the mechanized cavalry, a white supremacist group out of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
In uniforms of blue, I hates the nasty eagle with all his brags and fuss. The burning, thieving Yankees, I hates them worse and worse. I hates the whole Yankee nation and everything they do. I hates the Declaration of Independence too. I hates the glorious Union, 'tis dripping with our blood. I hates the striped banner, I fight it all I could.
That's your people. Woo! Hail the Confederacy, right? That's your people.
All right. So, here's the thing.
Here's more literature.
Could not have shrieked any louder that it existed for the
Brought
sole and
by the
exclusive function of
Southern
slavery.
Mechanized Cavalry,
To not
sons
know
of
that
Confederate
is to either be
veterans.
completely unread or to be deeply dishonest.
Yeah, the Klan
It is
uses the
not
same
humanly
rhetoric.
possible to read Southern leaders and ordinary Southern soldiers and not understand their motives.
Same rhetoric as the
People say that
Klan.
The South was not fighting for slavery.
No,
They
they're not
are
here to learn.
replacing actual historical
And here's
realities
what's sad is
with
you
what
got
we
children
wish
out here.
had happened.
Hopefully they'll learn
And
something.
they've been doing that for a really
But these
long
guys wanted
time,
to
but
come out
it's
here
not
and peacefully assemble and espouse their white supremacist rhetoric. Nope, sorry, not today. Not today, friends. We don't get to feel comfortable anymore.
even before the end of the war, people were starting to say,
Time to make racists uncomfortable again.
said I was fighting for slavery, but no.
Because here's the deal. They claim to do it in the name of protecting white women. And
So that is the most brazen example.
yeah, it is sad, Dorian, it is. And there were a couple black folks out here earlier. A few of them spoke. And if you go back and watch this feed later, after it ends, you'll be able to watch it from the beginning. But we do still have a couple of First Nations people here and a couple of members of the black community. But for the most part, as the woman explained earlier who spoke, they are regularly terrorized and intimidated and harassed for speaking out in public, which is why I'm here, to terrorize and intimidate and harass the people who do that to them. Flip the side a little bit, if you will, you know what I'm saying?
But it's okay, everybody.
Time to make racists uncomfortable so that we can make space for black voices. Maybe the black voices and black people in Durant, Oklahoma will feel a little more comfortable coming out and speaking against Confederate monuments if they know that they can count on white people, white women in particular, to come out and tell these fools that they're not welcome and tell them that they're fools and that they're white supremacists.
All right, and then that's what they did. Right? They lost on the battlefield.
Oh, and they're Masons
And then they
too.
became the KKK terrorists.
Oh,
glorified
that's
the
not going to
United
go
States.
over well for you.
And then we had
You know, the
non-slavery, but
Masons
still
denounced the
second-class
Confederacy
citizenship.
and the Klan. That's not going to go over well for you.
A little bit more subtle. Wasn't quite so.
When I report you to the national chapter. That's license plate 6NBF4. 6NBF4. Got it. I'm not near your vehicle. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do, white supremacist. I'm not anywhere near your vehicle. Shut the fuck up. No one's scared of you. Shut up, Klan boy. You don't have any power here. Nobody's scared of you. Shut up.
The color of the people who live near where you want to do the dumping. If you don't care about the quality,
You're going to be in big trouble when I report you to the National Masons. They don't approve of this shit, by the way. You just lost your membership, sweetheart. Eastern Star right here. You're out. Bullshit.
Right? People live in different environments with different health qualities. All right. Then, weirdly, public health
Bullshit.
resources are distributed differently to different
Eastern
kinds of
Star,
people.
baby. Masons denounce the Klan. You're out, bitch.
Okay. Poor people in the United States have access to some health resources.
Sorry, you don't feel
provided by
comfortable
local
anymore.
governments.
It's 21st century.
Those people are mostly white people. Right? Even our age.
You want to see my dues card?
Americans
Tell me what?
is
Tell me your
distinctly
name.
racially tinged. And then you get into
Okay, I'll
schools
show you my dues
that
card.
are
You
more
tell me your
segregated
name.
now than they were in the period of actual
What's your
formal
name, Klan
segregation.
boy?
We have two
Aren't you
different
proud?
educational systems in this country,
No,
and
you're a
they're
cowardice
racially
little Klan boy.
It's just not formal, right? It's white people keep running away from where black people live. Right? There's
No, I dropped my
difference
bag so I
saying
could
that
show
you
him my
can't
Eastern Star
have
tattoo.
Students of different races in the same school.
What's your name?
Don't. And then the funding becomes
Coward.
very different. All right. And then you see,
Coward.
black- little children are jerks,
Coward.
right? Especially little boys. They're just jerks.
Shut up.
All
Oh,
right, so little
lesbian.
black boys,
Yeah, I love
little
licking
boys,
pussy.
they're jerks. And the white boys are jerks.
While I got a dick in my mouth.
Unfortunately, the little black boys get punished a hell of a lot more for doing the exact same little jerk hijinks as little white boys do. Right? One of them seems like, oh, he's a boy who get over.
At least
it.
I'm
One
proud
of them
enough to
seems
admit
like,
it.
oh, he's a proto-thug, he ain't getting over it. We gotta
Honey,
put
you
that
couldn't
on.
lick a pussy if you were paid to. You're probably scared of that too. I do talk a lot of shit because I want to make white supremacists like you feel uncomfortable. You shouldn't be out here in public. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. It's the 21st fucking century, dude.
You like to call our names to people you don't even know who the hell they are.
You're a coward. If you're not, prove me wrong. Tell me your name. That's right. I'd be afraid to reveal my identity too. Just like a Klansman, hiding, not wanting to let anybody know who he really
What the
is.
hell was I? Oh, right. So,
Klan boy. Klan
you
boy.
suspend a 7-year-old
Klan.
black boy for what you would send a 7-year-old white boy to the principal's office for. Right? And you
Oh,
do this
come on. You can do
consistently.
better than
So finally you're
that.
expelling people, and then you're sticking them in juvenile hall, and that's called.
I'm a Klan member. Good one. I know you are, but what am I? Are you fucking 5, dude?
Then white men who are committing the same.
First you insult my sexual preference, then you insult my religion, then you insult my body. I mean, come on, you're just checking the fucking boxes, dude. What else you want to go after? You want to talk about my kids?
Indictment with the same kind of evidence, in guilty verdicts based on the same kind of evidence.
Come on.
In penalties based on the exact same crime.
Oh, I'm going to get your name, sweetheart. Don't worry. You're about to be famous. You have no fucking idea. You are about to be so famous. You want to come out here and act big and bad? Just wait. He'll be famous too. You and your buddy. Y'all think you're real tough. Didn't he tell you to be quiet? Why don't you listen to your boss?
Differences in crime, but those are not the underlying differences that are reflected.
Honey, it's not slander when it's true.
Guilty penalties now long people are spending in prison.
That you're acting like a Klan boy? I'd say that's pretty true, and I've provided a lot of evidence to prove it.
They're black children.
Honey, that's the thing. I'm citing my research. Where's yours?
All the black families have been broken
Yeah.
up. Oh, black
Because
men
you're a
terrible. No, you arrested them,
coward.
right? You took the white guy
21st
with
century
the weed,
Klan
you
boy,
took his
to
weed
the
away
T,
and
to the
said,
max.
"Don't do
I
that
can
again."
spot you a mile
You took
away.
the black guy with the same exact amount of weed, and you arrested him, you put him in prison, and now you complain about black irresponsibility.
Sorry you didn't get to come out and play 21st century Klan boy in peace. I guess you'll have to try again next week.
What this means is that slavery and the Confederacy were as obvious as it is humanly possible for white
I'm not gonna
supremacy
lie.
to be.
I really do
You have to
enjoy
be
it.
deeply stupid or deeply dishonest not to understand what the Confederacy was about. Whereas contemporary white supremacy, you don't have to be stupid or dishonest.
Dorian, I'm not sure if there's an official, I don't think that there is. I know that there's not a Bryant County NAACP chapter. I did look into that. I'm involved with the Denton County NAACP in Texas, and I can tell you there's definitely not a Bryan County NAACP here. So that much I know. But as far as any kind of local organization, I'm not really sure. I know there is a Deconfederate, I think there's a Deconfederate Bryan County. That might be the closest thing, but I'm not sure outside of that.
Right? I mean, if you can't notice when someone hits you in the face with
they're
a baseball
plotting.
bat, you are definitely not going to notice if they tap you on the nose. Moreover, it costs me nothing.
Yeah,
to
Dorian,
recognize
I think
the
that's the
history
thing.
of
If there were a lot of
white supremacy, right?
folks out here earlier trying to share their
ancestors from the
experience,
Confederate
but
Army.
you know,
Doesn't
how
matter
could
to me
any
at
black
all.
person
I
feel
have a
comfortable
whole
coming out here and
long line of
speaking
slave-owning ancestors
when you
on
got
the
dudes
other
out
side? That was a
here
long time ago. It
with
cost me
giant
nothing to
knives
be
on their
aware of
hips,
this.
wearing Confederate flags and saying signs that say, you know, the Confederacy was right? How on earth could people of color feel safe or like they have inclusion to speak in their community when they come to an event like this and this is what they're met with? You know what I mean? I mean, that's the whole the point.
knowing my
Their
history,
very
I'm certainly
presence
not gonna do
of coming out here wearing these symbols of
changing
hate
the
is a
future.
direct not welcome.
Which means that if you don't know that the Confederacy was white supremacy,
and that's the problem.
you are not going to notice white supremacy in our contemporary society.
I think that the issue isn't a matter of
If you don't
organizing
know
for
the
black
history,
people.
you're
It's a
doing
matter
it
of
to
coming
me.
out and doing exactly what I'm
Here we
doing,
are.
y'all.
That's not
Listen,
a
if
warning
you're
about the
white,
future. That's an
don't go out there and
observation
create
so let me go through
organizations
6
for
lines.
black people to speak. Black people don't need you to do that for them. What they need is for white people to come out and do what I'm doing. And expose this shit and call out other white people and call them out for their racist bullshit and make them feel uncomfortable when they come out to do this kind of shit that makes black people uncomfortable and makes First Nations people uncomfortable and intimidates them. That's what white people need to be doing. You don't need to start organizations for people of color and create spaces for them. Create organizations for them. We need to create space for them to create their own organizations. And that comes by removing people like this from public and making them feel uncomfortable, letting them know that they are not welcome, that their behavior is not welcome, it's not normal, and it's not okay. This is it. There's no easy way out. You can't organize it on social media. It's not something you can just create with a few emails. What I'm doing right here, right now,
The real question is the
this is it. This is what anti-racist activism looks like. This is how we all help create a space that's safe for everyone. This, right here, what I'm doing. Renouncing your own privilege, sacrificing your own privileges to come out and denounce these piece of shit white supremacists right here. That's how you do it. These guys right here want to come out here and they want people to honk and tell them, oh, good job, thank you. And they want people to see them as patriots. It takes coming out and identifying them as the white supremacists that they are. Well, then Dorian, that's what it's going to take. Anything else is pandering, unfortunately. I mean, I know everybody has their place. Maybe you can find a way to support people like myself who do this by sharing the activism and the streams and helping people understand the importance of this work. But I'll tell you right now, this kind of work is where it's at. Because the next time these guys think about coming out here to do some dumb shit like this, they'll think about this.
Hungarian Revolution, right? And
Ooh, I agree, James. I agree.
kind of cause. So basically, all the people that we would think of as
Oh, Tori. Oh, Tori Lynn. But this is it. It's this simple.
At why it is that this was of special interest to the Republican Party and people like that. If Korsa's aim be merely the establishment of a separate nationality of Hungary without any definite views with reference to ulterior changes in her interior organization, political or social, what sympathy have red Republicans, socialists, and communists, abolitionists, free soilers, and barn burners with his cause? Right? So, unless he's a communist, why do all you Republicans and abolitionists care? Right? He's putting the two groups together. Right? Ain't changed yet.
Listen,
And the thing is,
it's not a matter of not being afraid, y'all. It's not a matter of not being afraid. I watch the news. I know how fucking fragile these dudes are and how prone they are to just snapping in their fragility. I'm fully aware. It's about channeling your fear into mobilization instead of paralyzation. Everyone's afraid. You don't think black people are afraid? You don't think everybody's fucking afraid? This is how we overcome fear, by confronting people who are the terrorists among us, by confronting people who use fear to control our society.
Where hereditary distinctions are obsolete and the people possess unlimited power, where the avenues to wealth, distinction, and supremacy are open to all, it must, in the nature of things, be fully
Listen, we can't not expose them because they might enact fear or they might enact violence. They're already enacting violence. They're already being violent. Their very presence here wearing those Confederate monuments is violent. We've already talked about that. Where are the black people in this community? Why aren't they out here to feel safe to speak? Because these guys are here, carrying weapons. This guy's got a knife on him the size of my fucking calf. And we spoke to a black resident earlier who talked about how they couldn't even come speak at their own county commissioner's court meeting because these guys come out and threaten them.
It is not found in their manufacturing establishments.
That's why I come out here and do it. I'm just giving them a dose of their own medicine. It's time they feel uncomfortable. It's time they start and wonder, gosh, are people going to be there and call us out on our bullshit?
That's a communist? I mean, he's talking about the job creators and how there's no conflict between the classes in a capitalist free market society. That is not a communist. And the other one's a little bit harder to
Du
read, so I'll skip over
Vindis.
this. Next page is Frederick Douglass.
Why would you need a weapon like that to come to a history lesson?
So the first speaker who came to the stand was Mr. Inglis, I believe the editor of Young America. I should be glad to give his remarks in full. We'll probably give a link to 20 states in the circumstances in which he lands the subject. He commenced by stating his high regard for the slaves and his deep interest in the anti-slavery movement, but strangely enough went on in an effort
Cowards.
to wage slavery is as bad as
You'll notice their crowd is dwindling too. There's only 3 of them left. So that's something else I want y'all to notice. When I first got here, they had a group of 6. Only 3 remain.
And stated as a reason why they did not care about the anti-slavery movement.
Because
that
when
they
you
saw
call
the
them out and
abolitionists
expose them
taking
for
an
what they're
interest in the
doing.
cause of the black, while they neglected and
That's
oppressed
right, Tori.
the-
That's exactly
while they
right.
neglected the
That's a
oppressed
great
folk
example.
labor.
That's why they don't come out in Gainesville to do what they were doing at
this is
first,
a guy
because they
who's,
know that
came
people
to an
aren't going to
anti-slavery
react in
event
fear. They're
to
going to
take
respond
it
to them. They're
over.
going to call them out
Right?
for their white
So this is
supremacy.
the,
Their
white
pictures are going to be
youth
sent to their
showing up
jobs, and they're
Black
going to be
Lives
called
Matter
out, and they're going to be
protest,
fired for
protest.
espousing white supremacy. That's right.
The attempts to place holding property in the soil on the same footing as holding property in man was most lame and
Oh,
impotent.
Robin.
Right? So the
Well,
guy was
listen, I
preaching
do.
socialism,
I don't want
saying
to. I don't want to
it's
sound
terrible
like I'm
when people
criticizing
run
every white person who
factories.
can't be
That's
out here.
just
But I
as
will
bad
say
as
this:
people.
if you're white,
The
and
attempts to place
especially
holding
if you are a
property in
white
the soil on the
woman,
same footing as
you
holding
should be
property
out
in
here
man
if
was
you
most
can,
lame and impotent.
whenever
I
you
wonder if
can,
any
in your
white
own
person
community,
patience to
looking
such
to
nonsense.
identify people like
Right.
this who go out of their
All right.
way
And then he
to
continues,
diminish
the question raised must
black
therefore relate
voices
to the
and to
mode of holding
normalize
property
white
and the amount
supremacy.
held and not
But y'all,
the
here's the other thing too. Anybody who knows
says
me,
to the
I don't
manner and
just
the amount
come
with
to a
respect to
protest
these
events and do this. I
various
do this shit at Walmart. I do it at the grocery
Never mind,
store.
you can-
Hell, I do it in my classes. I have a professor right now that I am taking to town for his very passive approach to normalizing white supremacy in historical documents. I don't stand for it. I don't call for it. Somebody asked me at an event recently, they said to the person standing next to me, is she always like this?
Right? Anybody who has ever
Yes.
listened to me talk about my own personal
Anyone who knows me,
5 minutes
yes,
would think,
I'm
"That's
always
not
like this. This is not a show for me. This is not a performance. I just only go live when I come to these events. But yes, I am
All right, so that was
always
lie
like
one.
this. I
Back
do
in the
this
1850s,
all
they were saying
day,
abolitionists were
every
communists.
day in
Now
my
skip up 100
life.
years to Dr. King.
When I see
All right,
some
the
racist shit
Gallup
happen at
Company has
Walmart
been
or
around for
the
a
grocery
really long time
store or a
taking
parking
polls, and that
lot,
means that they can
I
take
call it
polls
out.
across multiple
Just this
generations.
boldly, just this
So they
directly,
polled
and
the
usually with a
American
camera
people in
pointed
August
at
of
it.
1966 about Dr. King.
Because they're not proud. If they're proud, they tell us
look
their
at the tape.
names.
The
If they're
total
proud, they'd be
favorable
real happy to
in
tell us who they are and what they
1966
stand
Dr.
for.
King was 33%.
But they don't.
33% of
They
Americans
know they're
held a
wrong.
favorable view of Dr.
They
King.
know they're racist.
Total unfavorable, 63%. 2/3 of Americans had an unfavorable view.
Well, you
of
can
the
look up the
Reverend
history.
Martin
You can
Luther
go to
King Jr.
my
in
YouTube, and I
1966.
have free lectures available on my YouTube where you can learn more about the history I'm talking about today. The history is out there. It's not hard to find. It's prominent and available at this point.
Well,
And it's definitely
how did
not
60% of us
secret.
change our minds after he died? I mean, he didn't change after he died. Right? In the 60s, you probably would have disliked him because you'd have believed a whole bunch of lies and nonsense about him. Here's the foremost lie about him, that he was a communist. Right? The FBI was consistently investigating Dr. King for his alleged ties to communism. He had a friend and advisor who had been a member of the Communist Party. But if you look at his ideology, if you look at his actions, there's nothing remotely involving collective ownership of the means of production or revolution or dictatorship of the proletariat.
Kind of
or
you,
the rest it
Stacy.
in there. So just got kind of some of the letters there from J. Edgar Hoover talking about what a...
Most people have gone. It's
investigating
starting
Dr.
to
King
sprinkle here. It's been kind of increasingly getting wet here for the last few minutes. So there's not as many people here today. I hope people will still come out in Gainesville today. You know, it's just a little wet. It's just a little damp. It's not too bad. But I hope people will come out. How you doing? Can I talk to you? Is that okay? I see you over there smirking at me from across the way while I'm over here talking to my buddies. Are you local? Have you? Do you mind if I shoot you from the side so I can get closer? No, I'm going to give it you like this so I can get closer without being in front of your face. Is that okay?
Do I look at your camera?
That's fine. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Do you mind telling me your name?
Dr. Durant.
Oh, so you're a doctor. Awesome. Do you teach here at the local university?
I used to. Now I'm a local clinical psychologist.
Oh,
I
okay.
work in Denison, Texas.
Okay. Have you been involved in the local efforts here to remove the monument and calling out the white supremacist legacy associated with it?
Yes, but even more so prior to that,
when Obama's connections
my area of
with
expertise
Acorn
is
were
culture
from
and diversity in psychology.
Acorn was supposed to be evil communist terrorists
Scholarly
working
work,
to destroy America.
Lectures.
They were registered black people.
There's been a
Nothing
major
ever
effort
changes.
to
Right.
shine a light
They were
on
lying about abolition.
things
They
that
were
just
lying
aren't
about
right.
that.
Disparities in health, disparities in education are really important.
Yeah. I spoke to some of the local black community members here that were here earlier, and they were telling me how the reason we don't see a lot of inclusion of black people out here is because in the past, when they've come to speak out at community events or like even county commissioner's court, they've been ostracized, some even threatened for coming out to use their voice. Have you experienced that kind of behavior?
Yeah, I have a best friend who is African American. When we go out to eat, she gets treated differently.
Here in Durant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is, when you talked about that, it made me think of a friend who said that when I was 26, she said, she's African American and Choctaw. She said, no African American man can get a job here in Durant. And she was right. There might have been one person at the Safeway, at the local Safeway, and the local Dollar Saver. But other than that, I did not see any African American men who were employed in Durant.
They have to leave their community to get work.
Well,
if they
that's
live here.
another thing. Yes, you're right. But the other thing is, for the longest time, there was only one African American family that lived here.
And it didn't used to be that way. That was an active effort.
Right. Well, after the hanging,
right,
there was he was burned.
Which is to say, all lives matter.
After an African American man was
burned alive.
In the late 1800s.
Yes.
Not too far from here.
Right.
African Americans. All of them moved to a town called
Black Lives Matter makes our spaces family friendly.
I went to a little town called
Black
Atchuley,
Lives
just 12
Matter hates the
miles
nuclear. No,
south of
they
here,
make their spaces family friendly.
a lot of it was heavily populated with African American people.
The descendants of the black people who fled this community after the black man was burned alive in the late 1800s and during Reconstruction era.
And then whenever
you and I, well, most of us,
well, maybe about 20, 21, my grandmother, who is from this area, she said, not too long ago, there was a town that said,
well, we do that because an awful lot of white people moved out into little tiny farms as they crossed the continent.
Was up here until
cleansing operation,
like 1980s.
And they didn't bring all their aunts and uncles.
So this town
we
has
do
a
it because an awful lot of people
history
when they came to the
of
United States did not come with all their aunts and
hatred
uncles.
toward African
We
Americans,
do it because
racism,
suburbs
oppression.
are federally subsidized.
What about these guys over here? This kind of pro-Confederate support. Have you seen that a lot out here whenever people come together? Or these guys told me they drove in from Tulsa to be here.
Yeah, there is a huge group of people here, I would say, that still believe in the South, want the South to rise again.
And what do you think that means when they say the South will rise again?
That's
okay.
I think for most of them, they're uneducated. They don't really understand what they're saying. It's just a historical lore for them.
That's a great set of words, a historical lure for them. Yeah.
Well, there's no education attached to it, so that makes it lore for me.
Right.
But
you could say that what they
do you think that the local? Do you think? Well, what do you think? Let me ask you this: what do you think about people like myself who come out and make it a priority to make them feel uncomfortable and call them out for what they are, who they are, and what they're doing?
You're rare. I'm glad to
There's
see
not a lot of
you.
people doing that locally. Why do you think that is? Why do you think more people don't come out and confront them the way that I do?
It's scary. I remember class lectures, and I would talk about inequities. Even Christopher Columbus, I would share with classes
170 years of the
about
exact
how
same
he was
damn life with the exact same damn purpose.
Human
Right, you
beings.
take pro-American, pro-liberty sentiments.
He was a human trafficker by definition.
And I watched the look on it was the first day of class, and I watched the look on my students'
Black Lives
class,
Matter is a
their
loser,
faces.
right?
And I said, okay, y'all need to tell me what y'all are doing with this information, because I had by that time knew about it for a while. And they said, this is the first time we are hearing this information, and you are blowing our minds.
They didn't learn it in the local primary schools.
Elementary, you learn that he's a hero.
And that's because the same women who built that monument right there, the women of the United Daughters of the Confederacy during the early 1920s and the early rise of the 20th century, they had an organizational mission to place as many of themselves into teaching positions in their local community as possible, and they taught the same false pseudo mythical legends of the Confederacy, the lost cause legends, versus real contextualized histories. And so even the originations of slavery and the founding of America, all that got washed away. Right.
Yeah.
So we have
in Oklahoma history, you had to take a semester of it when you were in 9th grade.
Right.
And they taught nothing about the true origin of how this land was settled. It was a bloody history.
Right.
This land was originally, the people who lived here were Caddo.
Right.
And then white settlers came in and squatted basically on this piece of this area, and then my people and people from the Midwest were removed here. There are now 42 tribes. Nobody knows this history because it's not taught in school.
Right.
What happened, all of that information. And if I can just share.
Oh, God, please.
Angie Depot wrote a book called Still the Waters Run. To me, it's must-read literature. If you can just read that. That will go a long way in understanding what happened here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, say the book one more time.
Angie Depot, Still the Waters Run.
Thank you. Okay. I see these gentlemen are over here getting some literature passed out to the locals, so I just want to go infiltrate that situation.
That's all they did. All right. Now here's how much worse it gets. Back in 1860, they pulled the
So now they're over here spreading their literature. No, you can shake your head at me all you want. I go wherever I want. So they're over here giving their history lesson.
And there was a new brand of match that was on the market.
Hey, hi. Good, how are you?
Good brand of match.
Good.
It was actually unstable when it was hot. And it was
That's
in grocery
despicable.
stores in Dallas, Denton, and other towns.
Yes.
And one day,
Yes.
in Dallas and Denton, some of these matches
Yes.
lit on fire.
Yeah,
in
you're
the
just-
bag.
You're in the wrong country. This is America. That's for the Confederate States of America. That country only survived 4 years and it was defeated by the United States. Sorry.
Matches that this was a
No,
terrible,
hello.
terrible accident.
Because here in America, we have freedom of movement. I can go wherever I want and say whatever I want.
Right, so it was in the newspaper.
Goodbye.
I've got the newspaper
Hello.
here where it was reported as matches, uncontroversial. But then a few weeks later, a newspaper editor.
So you can see the absolute failures of the local education system when you have people, obviously, who are the descendants. We have.
Come down south and they've been burning our towns.
You don't live in the Confederate States of America, though. That country's dead. It was defeated by the United States. She says the Confederate States are not dead. They never will be.
They each send a letter
Right.
to one another that would cross in the mail.
Why do you support the Confederacy?
Was that the other one's house had burned
I
down.
have it. I've read all their slop literature.
That's actual history. Whenever I try to give actual history to Confederate people, they rip it off. They hate it. They literally throw it back. Right? The people
I'm gonna
who
fly
think
to
that if
you like
take
an
down these
airplane.
monuments, they are. We're going to forget our history, and the people who forget
Read
our
it.
history is pretty much the same.
Read
as white
it.
people.
What does it say?
All right. So
What does it say?
there was one lady.
Read
who
it.
actually
This is your
personally
Confederate
reported
States of
personally
America.
having
Read
seen
it.
35 fires started.
It's
in
a book,
Austin.
honey. I can print 20 more of it.
Abolitionists started 35 fires in
Honey,
Austin.
I can print 30 more.
Personal eyewitness report.
I want you to
She's the
read
one person who
it.
saw 'em.
I know you don't. You have not.
Buildings, she said, had burnt
No,
down.
you didn't.
Thought that their buildings had burnt down.
I stood there and watched you. There's more. You didn't read all this. You're not a
All right,
speed
let's get
reader.
Up on the floor of the House of Representatives. So John H.
No.
Reagan, who was one of the secessionists,
You look pathetic.
Very calm,
Yeah.
very moderate, very
It's
unionist
despicable
leader
that you would
for
come
a
out
long
here
time.
and stand here.
He was down there in the House of Representatives, and he was saying,
You're despicable. And
and
it's what's despicable is how the education system has failed you.
Has had some painful experiences during the last summer
Oh, I'm so scared of you. How are you going to put another dot there? Tell me. Tell me how you're going to do it. Tell me how you're going to do it. Tell me. Come on, follow through with your threat, tough girl.
All right.
How are you going to do it?
We are a politician.
How are you going to put a dot on my head?
On their schemes of producing
Huh?
disaffection among our Negroes, but they
How are you going to do it? Yeah, I'd be quiet too if I were you. You know what white men do when I intimidate them and they don't know what to say to me? They laugh nervously like you.
Under its auspices the night before the last August
That's what you're doing right now. You're talking to me, that's engaging. What's the matter? You have a hard time with self-control? Men like you tend to have a hard time controlling themselves around me. I am. Bet your ass. Of what? Of what? I sure don't stand for an organization that fucking enslaved my own people. I'm uneducated? What do you have a degree in? I see. She's a Google scholar, my favorite kind. Bye. Wow. Woo! I'm a white supremacist and I don't have an argument. Woo! Wow. So y'all said you're not white supremacists, but those folks that are your friends just left by screaming white power.
Blankets, guys. We're almost done here. All right, so there's John H. Reagan talking on the floor of the House of Representatives about a complete...
Honey, stop drinking during the day.
Black Lives Matter are looting.
Come on. It's like not even 5 o'clock yet and you're already drunk.
And in 1860, abolitionists were looting and...
I'm not Irish.
That's why we needed to leave the United States. Because
I said I don't support the country of people who enslaved my own people. You have listening problems. Men like you tend to have a hard time listening to women.
That lie about...
I was talking about her people, dumbass. I know, which is why I said I don't support the people who enslaved my own people. I was talking about her, dumbass. You have a hard time following logic. I know, it's difficult for you. Want me to speak a little slower for you? I know it's hard to process all at once, but you are a white supremacist coward. 21st century Klan boy. Also easily riled because you're a fragile little wimp. You're also about to get kicked out of the Masons for being a white supremacist, and I can't wait to see that day. Because I'm going to report you for coming out here holding a sign supporting the Confederacy, saying the Confederacy was right. The Masons denounced white supremacy, and they don't tolerate it. And when the National Order finds out that you're out here wearing their symbols on your truck and espousing and supporting white supremacy, holding signs with it, that's not going to go over well. Honey, I said National Order. Oh, honey, come on now. Absolutely. I know how it works. I can start with Texas and then go to regional. Yeah, why don't you go? Yeah, why don't you go? Why don't you go? Why don't you go?
A few more of them, but I don't know. We're gonna outlast this bunch that we have got going on.
It's like someone told him I was coming.
I think so. I don't know. Maybe it's the weather, but I don't know when the weather the last time. But anyway, really do appreciate you all coming out. Yeah, they do. When you hit the anti-race, well, I don't call them anti-racist. I don't call them racist. I just call them.
They are
ill-informed.
racist.
Because the books are right there for your history.
White supremacists, racist, cowards.
When you hit that element with truth.
Look at him with his big bad tough 1% patch.
So we just have to continue to do that. I mean, you notice that
I'm scowling.
you don't
'cause
get
I'm
into
so
many
tough
arguments anymore when you
and scary.
hit people with facts.
Be
especially on
afraid.
social
Be
media,
very
those,
afraid. I
keyboard
love when I
bullies,
make y'all
and it's the
giggle.
same
You
thing
have such a
happening here.
man. You look
We
good when
will
you
outlast
smile. You should
this.
smile more.
You all know that.
It's not hard.
This thing will
Come
down.
on, try and
It's
stop.
not going to happen overnight.
Don't let me catch you smiling again. People might think you're an actual real human being. I know you are. Somewhere deep in there, there's a good human being.
Moved off this courthouse.
All you got to do is take off those racist patches.
Because, you know, we
Honey,
have to
I've
work our
heard him.
systems. We have to get the systems down. This is just a symbol of the system.
Coward.
It's a start, and we are going to work our way on getting this thing removed. Because if we want to be a more inclusive society, we want to make sure everybody has equal rights and equal representation, not feel like they don't belong.
You don't
These
belong.
things have to come down. Period.
You don't belong.
Period.
White supremacists
And I
aren't
wanna thank
welcome.
that Texas Deconfederate
White supremacists aren't welcome.
Reconstruction. I don't know why I keep saying it. Reconstruction. Thank y'all so much.
White supremacy is not welcome in public anymore.
All right.
Take it
And
home.
we're going to have Reconstruction, as Bryan said.
Take it
and
home.
It's going to work.
Your
I
white
really do
supremacy
appreciate
isn't
you all
welcome
for coming
here
out and
anymore.
Braving the elements. I was expecting, one of our
I'm on
Indian
public
summer,
property, sugar. You don't like it? Go live somewhere else.
evenings,
This is America. I
not
can
so
stand wherever
cold
I want.
and wet,
Try North
a little
Korea out.
warm,
They
but
limit
here we
people's
are.
movements.
Once again, thank you all for coming out.
Tell me,
And
what's North Korea about?
we'll keep supporting.
Teach
and
me
keep
something.
growing and
Come on, Google Scholar.
making
Teach me
noise
something.
until these things come down. Thank
Teach
y'all.
me something, Google Scholar. Shut up. Go away. I don't like it when you make me feel uncomfortable. I want to spell. He wants the microphone. Don't give it to him. We don't give platforms to white supremacists. They've had it for 2 centuries, 3 centuries, 4 centuries. They don't need a microphone. They've had it for 4 centuries. That's right. Make America safe again. Make racists uncomfortable.
Project.com.
Yes, sir. Yeah, if you guys want to meet me over there, I think we're wrapping it up. All right.
You're like, we are absolutely not. Can I get you before I go? So, I wasn't really able to talk to you earlier, but I just wanted to come and say thank you for having the Texas Reconstruction Project come out, which, let me clarify for everyone before Bryan gets roasted on the fire. I am not a member of the Texas Reconstruction Project. I'm just little old me doing what I do. So, do you mind just telling folks who you are and what you've been doing here?
Tyrone Stafford, and I'm here trying to bring awareness to issues that we have going on in the community, especially with these Confederate monuments. We have a lot of social strife going on in the United States right now. There's no reason for us to be having these things. We just keep repeating history, things that are happened in the past, and they just keep popping up. But we've got to come together. We've got to remove symbols to oppression, racism, all that stuff's got to come down. I mean, you start looking at these families today, you see all these blended families. You see black, white, Latino mix. You see gay and lesbian families. You see all of this stuff, and we just keep continuing to fight these battles, and it's tiring, but somebody's got to do it. So Black Lives Matter, Bryan County have invited these guys out to come out and help us spread the word, hit people with truth bombs and facts, and hopefully enlighten these young people and old on the ways of white supremacy and the systems of white supremacy, and trying to get these things torn down.
And make racists feel uncomfortable.
we do. We love that. We love that. So I really, really do appreciate you guys for coming up. But thank y'all.
I'm proud of y'all for coming out.
Thank
I
you.
know that I was talking to a black member of the community earlier. Her name is Skylar, I think, if I'm remembering right. She was explaining to me how her and other members of her family have tried to come speak at like the county commissioners meetings against this monument, but they weren't even able to continue to do that because they were being threatened and intimidated by local white supremacists. So I just want to point out that the the local community has tried to go through the legal processes
Right.
and civic means,
Right.
but every time they do that, they're met with threats of violence.
Yes.
For trying to participate in civic engagement.
Yeah, and we know. I mean, we know it all happens at the voting booth. We've got to engage our younger people to run for office, to bring awareness to. I know we have a lot more support than what's out there. But a lot of people don't like to shake the boat and rock the boat. But we do get a lot of messages say, continue doing what you're doing. We have your back. We have y'all supported. So that's all we can ask for there. And then once we get this community engaged, get our voting numbers up, we'll do some things to get some attitudes changed. Whether we get young people to run for these local offices, whether it's
that's where it's at.
City council,
yes.
county commissioners,
yes.
Local leaders in town. If we can get younger people on those things that are changing these attitudes, then we can make some things actually happen.
People are shocked to learn the small margins it takes in local communities to win by. So few people vote in civic elections.
Absolutely. Now, and we know this. Here in Bryan County, we know that there's more Democrats registered in the county. Right now we're not voting, and we've got to get these people out to the polls and get them voting. That's period. It may not happen this next upcoming election, but we do know there's city council elections and things, county commissioner elections that are happening early next year, and we can work on getting people together and see what we can do about getting some people moved out and getting some new commissioners. So that's something we all can do there.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for having me
you.
and for spearheading the efforts here and not being stopped.
No problem. Thank you.
See ya.
All right.
Jessica,
yes. Oh, no, you're going to make me cry.
I made this. It's a humanity necklace.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh, can I hug you?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't have corona.
Love to you.
Do you live stream these, or do you...
Yes, I'm live streaming, and then I take snippets and I'll put highlights of your local supremacists being doxxed on TikTok, and I'll have them call the local authorities so right now in Kaufman, I took segments of my live stream, posted it on TikTok, and all day Kaufman County's been getting thousands of calls from across the nation for letting white supremacists come out and espouse their rhetoric on county property and peaceful protests. So what I do is come out and confront them, expose them. I make them speak their truth, which is always racist and always based in Klan language, and then I make them famous.
That's
I'd like
terrific.
to hear how that, not Templars.
The Masons?
The Masons. I'd love to hear how
I can't
that
wait to
story
figure
works
out his name,
guys.
and I will.
See you. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys. Keep it up. Don't be stopped. All right. So
All right, we'll see
be
y'all.
safe, friend.
All right,
be
y'all
safe.
good.
You guys, she made me cry.
Thanks, guys.
It's so kind of her. See you guys at the next stop. Oh, can I grab my sound dish? Thank you.
Jessica,
Yes, sir.
thinking about canceling in Gainesville because of the weather.
Yeah, I'm in communications with Tori. I mean, are you saying you're thinking about canceling?
They are.
Last I heard, I think they're still going. I'm going to text her when I get there. I encourage them to go. I mean, why not?
It's cool with me.
Yeah.
But it's fair to think otherwise, so you're gonna have to go through there anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the radar. There's no chance of lightning or anything like that. It's just going to be like this. You know what I mean? Dreary and cold and wet. But
We're gonna go there because it's pretty much on our way.
yeah, I'm going there. We'll see what happens when we get there. Bye. Hey, I have 3 of your books in my bag. Can I keep all 3 of them? I wasn't upset to tear the front page off the one to make her read it because I'm putting it in I know you know what I'm doing.
Well, I don't know what you're doing, but I knew that you weren't ripping it up out of anger at me.
No, I just pulled the front page off.
But literally, when I try to hand any kind of historically stuff to the other side, they literally
Throw it back. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm going to use it online too and just to help promote what you're doing.